Hello, Yngwie Malmsteen here. I'm here to tell a little bit about my Dunlop picks. I've been using these for 30 plus years, but if you buy them in a store, they'll be purple. 1.5 millimeters is what I use, okay? Now we have a line of picks. They come in 2 millimeters, red, which is great too. And they want just a little more extra heavy, but not super heavy. Still heavy, 1.14 millimeter yellow. And they're all beautiful, all great. White, yellow, red. And don't forget that I'm going on tour. So I'll just show you guys a little bit of the standard procedure every day. Steve here, put new strings on it, and tunes it obviously. But then what I do every time before we start, I do a little stretching like this on the strings. And it tunes it again. And we go to the next one, and we do the same thing there. As you can see, come closer. We have a bunch of guitars here throughout the night. We come around. And it's the arsenal of Stratocasters. Some of the lows off it. It's got a little too much lows. Sound checking. Anyway, this is the Fender Stratocaster, obviously, in Malmsteen model. And I'm using the Line 6 wireless. That goes here. And from that, it gives into this wah pedal, Dunlop. Here, Roland Boss switchboard, which is amazing. I can switch it like so. So here is a both stack. All of them rather. Then I hit this, I get split. And here is split without any distortion. You can do real cool things. And here's a chorus for vocals. This compressor pedals, if I just want to do a little bluesy stuff. Right here. Then I have that split also. Here's a really funny stuff. It's an octave higher. Let reverb back in. This is also Boss, as you can see, Roland Boss, awesome stuff. You can put this on the settings so you make a lot of noise with it, like this. Talk about something that's really interesting, the Fender Stratocaster and its pickups. So till this day, this, in my opinion, remains the most perfect design of a guitar, and it is not an accident that they did all this and the shape here. It's all ergonomics. Although when it came out in 1954, people thought it was a crazy looking thing from space. And I played them all my life, basically. So to me, this is what I'm used to and everything like that. When I was a little kid, I couldn't afford Fenders.
So I would buy copies, and they used to make really good ones, Japanese copies, you know, back in the 70s, you know. And but I didn't like the pickups, so I used to buy pickups in a store, you know, pick up and put them in the, you know, I thought it was better. So when I finally got a Fender, I was really happy, of course. But I realized I didn't like those pickups either. And so I started putting different pickups in from day one, but always the Stratocaster cannot pick up like this. It's called a single coil window. The problem with single coils is that they hum, especially if you have a lot of gain like I do. See how it's pretty quiet, because these are stacked. God bless him, Ed Van Halen, when he came out, he would put a Gibson style pickup. See this square one? What this is two coils like this in here. Two coils, two coils. One is hum canceling the other. Therefore they call humbuckers. So it became very popular to cut up the Stratocaster and put these double coil pickups in. And what happens though, even though they become quiet, it changes the sound quite dramatically. And the reason for this is because, as you see these 1, 2, 3 pickups, 1, 2, 3, these pickups are the same, but they sound different. Why do they sound different? Because where they are located underneath the string. So if they're here, they sound different than from here. Case in point, that's the front pickup. That's the back pickup. Same pickup on different place. It's called magnetic window. Now, if you have one magnetic window, one row of magnets like this, you get a certain sound. If you put two, completely different. Which is another thing that Leo Fender, his genius, he put this pickup here exactly where the 24th fret would be. So you get a harmonic, same here. That's why the Stratocaster has this amazing round sound. So if you put a humbucker like this in here, it'll be completely different. What this is here, it's a 1954 Fender Stratocaster. Can you believe it? It's 1954, and he made a guitar like this. You see these pickups? They're single coils, actual single coils, not like the ones I'm using. So they sound like this. You hear that? You hear that hum? It's because it's only one coil on, and there's no hum cancelling. So here we are on the operation table there. We have a Stratocaster Yngwie J Malmsteen model, and as you can see, these pickups are the traditional single coil magnetic window pickups, but they're actually the ones we're gonna put in from Seymour Duncan. You get these, are absolutely amazing. I'll take this off first, and I already disconnected this. So this is the pick guard we're gonna put in from Seymour Duncan, Yngwie J Malmsteen's Fury pickups. And like I said, because before, the Gibson pickups have the two coils like that. These have two coils on top of each other, so they're hum canceling, but the same magnetic window as single coils. So it's very simple. You have, coming out of your guitar, you have ground and you have hot. So put this like this. You want to make sure you put a little bit of a solder on these right here and on here,
and on here, and on there. Okay, let me start with this one. This is hot. I should have reached right there. And that's the hot. Here comes the earth, the ground, like we call it. And there we go. Thank you. And that's on, and that's on. What we have to do now, gotta make sure nothing is. What I always do is I put a plug in, and I take a screwdriver and I check the pickups before I put the strings on and the screws on. So now we can put strings on and play it. Here it is, all back together. Wow. You can do the pickups.
Hi there, it's me again. I thought we were going to talk about the history of this particular instrument, not this particular guitar, but this instrument, the Fender Stratocaster. It's an amazing invention, amazing design. I mean, I'll go through a little bit of the differences of the very first ones and so on. This is one I've had since I was a little kid, as you can see. And just the design of this is just amazing. It came out in 1954. But it was a little different then, so I'm going to start talking about how it all started. It started actually with this guitar here, which is the only one I have. It's a Telecaster. This one was designed by Leo Fender and all his friends around 1948 or 49, I think. It was called Broadcaster. Then it was sued by Gretsch and called it Telecaster a couple of years later. As you can see, it's a very different guitar from a traditional acoustic guitar, for instance. It's made from a block of wood, and it's got a bolt-on neck, which is totally new at the time. The original ones actually had a maple neck, okay, which is a very important part. You had instead of for 1,000 years, stringed instruments were made with a glued fretboard on, like this. This one here doesn't have. So the original Telecasters actually had no fretboard glued on. They had to put the frets right in the neck, which is crazy. And as you can see, all the pegs are in one row. And all the string pull is straight, whereas on the other guitars they were fan out and so on. So anyways, this was the first one, and then in 1953 they designed something that was out in 1954. This is actually a 1954 guitar. This is a very, very, very early one. It was before they even had machines to make them. It was March 54. And this is amazing. It's an amazing design then, and it's an amazing design now. This tremolo unit here is still the best. They have other so-called improvements everybody puts on there. No, this is the perfect tremolo. It works. It has height and intonation for each string. As you can see again, the strings go straight through here, so they don't get stuck, and the headstock in one row instead of all the other traditional guitars. And see, this has the frets right on the neck. The neck is one piece, and the truss rods on the back. And you see these things? Look at this. No one ever had that made. This was made for ergonomic reasons. And anyway, when this came out in 1954, it freaked out all the other guitar companies so much. obviously the other guitar company, which I love by the way too, Gibson, they were making guitars like this, which is a much more traditional guitar. As you can see, the shape is like an acoustic guitar. The neck has the same sort of, construction as an acoustic guitar, with the strings, the pegs on both sides, and glued in neck and everything. It's a beautiful guitar. Anyway, when this came out, Strat came out, these guys figured they had to come back with some sort of a response, and they came out with this, 1958, which is a great guitar. I love flying these, but I think that they just want to make something that looked crazy because they thought the Strat was crazy. And this is just a crazy looking guitar, whereas the Strat is actually made to have perfect balance and all that stuff. And so that was interesting. And then the guitar itself developed a little bit. From 1954 to 1959, they made only maple necks with small headstock. Only maple necks. In 1959, they started making only rosewood necks. This is 1959. These are more known for being early 60s, but this is actually from 59. And as you can see, it's it's got a glued on rosewood fingerboard, whereas this does not. In 1968, then a couple of small other things happened. In 1966, they started making a big headstock. A lot of people think that happened later. That was actually 1966. They started, and it was still rosewood. In 1968, they came out with this one, which is well known from Jimi Hendrix's performance at Woodstock. This is called a maple cap. They started making a maple fingerboard again, but no skunk stripes, and the construction was as if they had a rosewood neck. They just glued a maple cap on it, and you can see, yeah. So these are one of my favorites. I used to use these for a long time. So in 1971, they made a change to this one, which has a neck adjustment here. It's known as a bullet neck. It's very, very smart. But at the same time they did that, they also decided to put 3 bolts instead of 4 bolts to hold the neck in, which was not so smart. So someone like me who throws guitars around, then all of a sudden the neck won't stay in like it should. So I think this was brilliant. This is not so brilliant. This is from 1971 to about 79. They made it like this, 80 maybe. In 1986, I'm very honored. Dan Smith and the whole team from Fender came to my show at Long Beach Arena in California, and they said, "We want to make your model." And I'm like, wow, this is a great honor, because Fender never did that to anybody. And they measured all my guitars, and they had some really old guitars at the time. And that has now become this one here. This is my model, which has everything that I think is the best of all the years, okay? So it does have the bullet truss rod, which is really, really good. But it has a 4-bolt neck. So the neck is held in with 4 bolts, but it has that adjustment. Then of course my scallops and the Seymour Duncan pickups and all that stuff. Stock tremolo. But, it's basically, where's my old, the one duck there? That's what I did to the duck. I took it, that was a 3-bolt originally.
Hey, Malmsteen here, doing sound check, and I'll tell you something about something I'm really digging, which is these Lewitt microphones. I'm using my lead vocals. You have for the keyboard vocal, the bass vocal, on the guitar amps, on all the drums here on stage. Also in the studio, I use different 940 for the vocals and stuff like this. Lewitt really is amazing, amazing. Amazing vocal microphones. Hello, I'm Yngwie Malmsteen. I'm here sound checking, and I'm just letting you know that this Lewitt MTP W950 beta microphone we're just trying here on tour now. It's a stunning microphone. I can turn it up really loud. I can sing along with these Marshalls, and it's just amazing. I love Lewitt. I love all Lewitt microphones. I use them all in the studio, all on stage, everything. Drums, vocals, guitars. You rock. Of course, the mountains. We also using Lewitt microphones on all the drums, all overhead, snare, everything is Lewitt mics. And bass vocal and keyboard vocals, Lewitt mics.
Hello, I'm Yngwie Malmsteen. I'm here to tell you that I'm going out on tour this year, for the whole year, pretty much. And we are start in Mexico in July, and then we go out in the States from August, September, and October, and with Glenn Hughes. You gotta check that out. And then after that, Europe and Asia. And all the exact dates you will find on yngwiemalmsteen.com. So go there and come to the shows.